Yellow. All right, what's cracking, guys? We are here for a sit-down with Bobby Stoker himself, and we are here in Alaska. So we got a good one for you today. We're also, you can tell by these headsets, we're using old Brad from GoWild. He came up here to Stoker's brought on to take pictures of the whole event. So he's here. We're using his equipment. That's why you guys are hearing better audio than my videos that you hear on the internet. And, we're sitting down here with Bobby Stoker today. We're going to ask him a couple questions and get his backstory. And should be a good time. I know you guys have been wanting to see this for a while. So let's get into it.
So tell us the story all the way back to little Bobby. Or you could actually, if you actually, it's a fun story even back to your grandfather starting it and then go forward. We'll get to little Bobby in a minute, but tell the whole story.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing I thought of right then is my first memories are being in the tobacco business. And that all started back years before when my father and my grandfather dealt in tobacco. And approximately 1940, they when they had extra tobacco, they would actually go to a trade day. And the correct term at that time was peddle it. Which is selling it.
Right.
So they got to doing that, and then my dad always told the story about, how the weather is in Tennessee. It's either real hot, it's real cold.
Right.
And that's when he said, there's got to be a better way of selling this instead of sitting at a trade day on a real cold day.
Yeah.
So he thought about mail order company and actually started that and picked up or bought a few mail order companies down through the years. So that was actually the way that things really first got started.
Definitely. Yeah, with getting into other businesses too to grow it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was 1940 around approximately?
Yes.
Wow.
You remember helping, though, as a kid. You've told me before.
Absolutely. And at that time, he had a mailing list of people, and he would have some printer make up some brochures, and then we would stuff those in envelopes. Someone would hand address those envelopes and then mail them out. So
wow, that's crazy. Times have
True.
changed.
Yeah,
today.
so say no automation or anything. I mean, that's such a labor intensive.
yeah, and of course at that time that was the only way he knew how to do it. And that grew into a great business. We had groups of customer service where people, were answering calls and finally started taking credit cards for those orders.
Right.
And actually had standing orders where, if you like Tennessee chew, you just figure out how much you wanted and said, well, ship it to me on the first day of every month.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Worth noting, a lot of the laws have changed. I mean, that you guys had to pivot from all that. I mean, that was, which honestly, it seems like since then, a lot of those pivots have kind of positioned you to where you are today. I mean, in a good way, I'm sure you all would say. A lot of that forced change has helped the company grow, increasingly getting bigger and bigger. More and more well known across the country.
Yeah.
I feel like even in the time I worked with Stokers for probably 2 years on the agency side of things, and I feel like, even coming back here now, I'm hearing Steve, who I wish I had a mic for because he's hilarious. And as Bobby has called him, and I can say this now that Steve can't defend himself, a smart aleck.
Oh, yeah. I like to call him Stoker Steve.
Stoker Steve, all right. But, I heard him talking about some of the stats, and I haven't seen Steve in almost 2 years since I was at the last event like this. And it's just really incredible to see the growth, and I think a lot of that comes from hard work from people like Steve, and you guys have had people with you that haven't left for 20 years or however long.
Oh, yeah. There's people still working that I've worked with for 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
So
says a lot about how the company's run.
Yeah. And where are you from in Tennessee? Where did it all start?
Dresden.
Dresden, Tennessee. You were telling me about that.
Yeah.
What's in Dresden?
Today, right?
Yeah. That's exactly where I live.
What's in Dresden? I mean, how big is it, and where's it located for people that aren't familiar
It's
with it?
approximately 3,000 people, and it's northwest Tennessee. We're about an hour north of Jackson, Tennessee, and 2.5 hours from Memphis Airport and Nashville Airport.
But I wanted to ask Bobby, what is your favorite Stokers?
Well, I dip Stoker straight.
Because that's what you were telling me on the boat yesterday.
Yep.
I like Stoker straight.
Yeah, and probably my favorite chew is 24C.
Now, I wanted to ask you about that. I'm glad you brought that up here, too. Can you explain the 24C? Because there's so many people that ask me this question. I've looked it up before, and I've explained it before, but it's best coming from the horse's mouth. I'm not calling you a horse.
It's 24 calories, man. Everybody knows that.
Well, I've kept most everybody confused over that down through the years. So,
if anybody doesn't know, Stoker's has the biggest line of chewing tobacco. You guys have so many different flavors and stuff like that. But what is? And there's another one too. 24C, and then there's the L50. Yeah. So what is that?
People can't hear what the other one was.
The 50.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't have mics.
old Stoker Steve back there.
Such a smart aleck.
He's
Bobby's pacing back and forth.
well, there's one thing for sure. The C stands for coarse,
Okay.
meaning that the leaf content is larger than the 24M. There was one called 24M that was medium cut tobacco, but the 24 came from. There's a lot of different theories of exactly. I've told it. Well, maybe we tried 24 times to get it to taste that good, and
I feel like Bobby's not going to tell us the answer. That's where this is.
back in the day, I mean, many moons ago, it might have had something to do with maybe some cost that went in it.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So,
50. That's not around anymore.
yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, so maybe because the cost.
Later on, so the cost was more.
Yeah.
It was later on.
Yeah.
That's why it was cost was more.
You said it was later on, so the cost was more.
Right.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been wanting. So you're saying the C's for coarse.
Yeah.
24s.
Coarse cut.
You tried it 24 different times to make it taste that good. That's what we'll go with.
That's very possible.
We'll go with that.
Yep.
There's not going to be a
There,
definition of the window.
there is a lot of truth to actually that 24. Absolutely.
I mean, that's usually how it goes.
I handed it over to you. Now I'm going to ask a question again. Bobby, one thing I think is interesting is that Stoker's has stayed for the into Tennessee and Kentucky for so long, while so many other people have started cutting with other. I don't know. I'm assuming I don't know what countries or whatever, but I mean you guys have stayed on your dip products
Yes.
in the U.S. What's gone into that? What's that? What is that? I'm sure cost. If you brought up cost, Jared, you're talking about cost, and I'm sure the cheaper thing would probably not to be to do it that way. But what are the factors that have been important to keeping it into Kentucky and Tennessee?
Well, just like we say, our quality is one thing that we brag about, and it is 100% American grown. And I've been to a lot of places not too far from home where it's grown, and it is absolutely the best dark fired and that's can be bought.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can buy it in other places, but still not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Still not the same.
Talk through that process a little bit, Jared. I don't know if your audience would like. I mean, I'm sure some of them probably don't even know what that's like, because I've seen pictures of it, and it's actually pretty amazing what you guys do to this stuff once you harvest it, or through the harvesting process even. Traditionally, how that works.
Yeah, of course, it's hand cut out in the field, and it's carried to a barn, and fires are built under it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these fires aren't blazing fires because they cover all the wood up with sawdust, but it does get smoked for X number of days, and then the farmers, after they get the finish, that's what they call it, and the color that they want, then they take it down and hand strip it and at that time, let's say we're getting ready to bite, and but after we bite, we may not touch it for at least 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it may just stay in storage and to let it age.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually go through some processes called sweating. Yeah. So
how did you get the name Stoker?
there you go.
That's a good one.
That was good.
That's a good looking man on the can.
I think so. Yeah.
Man on the can, I like to say. I think we've covered. It was good talking to you both, and we've covered quite a bit.
Well, I've certainly enjoyed meeting Jared.
Oh my gosh, we have a deer. Cue the deer.
Oh my God.
We have a black-tailed deer.
This is.
Right?
Who's your video over to?
You couldn't pick a better way to wrap this up.
Are you serious?
It's not Jurassic Park,
This is
but it's
holy.
This is maybe, I don't know, 12 feet from Jared.
There is a black-tailed deer just staring right at me.
You know what this is? It smelled that 24C when you opened up that bag.
It smells that sweetness.
I don't think that deer's of age, though. It's just moseying on by.
that's pretty cool, isn't it?
I got to say, that's a first for one of my podcasts.
I
Yep.
think, I mean, we've been telling you how much it's a magical place. If you're watching this, you know now.
Yeah,
We did get it on video, so we have
We did.
proof. We have proof that happened.
absolute proof.
I don't even know how to come back from that. Like,
I think that's a perfect way to end it right
I got it. I wanted to tell Bobby and this to the whole team. You know, I appreciate that you guys trusted me to come up here. I mean, it's a huge investment for you all. So to pick me to get to come up here and be a part of documenting that means a lot. It means a lot that my work spoke to you all enough. So
Yep.
thank you, sir. Thank you, Max and Steve and Karen and the whole team for making that happen. All right, we're going to go see what this deer's up to. All right, let's go do it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. That was a neat one.
Yeah, that was good. That was the perfect ending right there.
How did Jared see it? And he's looking this direction.
this up.
Well,
Oh,
he
okay.
was
Okay.
looking over there,
I'm
and I was
thinking,
like, what?
we got these dummies back here that look in this direction, and nobody said anything. Bill,
You told us to shut
Steve, got a deer about to lick us back here.
Holy.
Speaking of licking, go ahead.
Nobody wanted to interfere with
my hand down there about 5 minutes ago.
He's
Really?
got a picture of it licking his finger.
Down here? And it came
Great.
back? Holy.
So it did smell the Stokers. It smelled it on your hand and it came up here to get some.
Absolutely.
That's crazy. Bobby, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, guys, thank you for watching that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know a lot of you guys wanted to see a conversation with Bobby Stoker. And also thank you to Brad for leading the conversation. And if you guys want to listen to the entire full-length podcast, I'm going to link it down below, and that'll go to your website. And where can they find you and everything else you do?
We are on timetogowild.com. You guys can find the podcast on there. You can find other podcasts on there.
That'll be linked below.
You can download the app. The app's on Android and iPhone. I hope you'll check it out if you're into hunting, fishing, outdoors, hiking, camping, any of that good stuff. It is a fun place. We do weekly giveaways. You know that?
You want to do a weekly? We should
We do
do
weekly
it.
giveaways, but we should do one. We
Yeah,
should do one together. That's coming.
And it's
so get
called
ready.
GoWild. Check them out, and they just type in GoWild on pretty much every app form they have, and it'll pop up.
Yep.
Or what?
Go to your app store, search Go Wild, you'll find it, and then Restless Native is the podcast if you want to look that up.
Cool. Yeah, and that'll be linked below to listen to the whole conversation. I chopped our conversation up a little bit, so the whole podcast probably about an hour long.
Unfiltered.
Or so. Yeah, unfiltered. And well, we'll see once it gets back.
Semi-unfiltered.
Semi-unfiltered. And then we'll be good to go. But thanks, Brad. Appreciate it, man. It's been a good trip, dude.
Thank you, and thanks
Now-
for everybody that listened to it.
Yeah, for
Or
sure.
watched it.
Yeah, watched it, listened.
Whatever.
Whatever. We're good to go. It was a good trip. We're about to leave here. Old pretty Alaska, man. I'm gonna miss it. See y'all.
Welcome to the mother truckin' woods. Out here, feeling good. Welcome to the mother truckin' backwoods, boy. In the woods with the redneck.